It's been nearly 30 years since the death of O.J. Simpson's ex-wife and her friend Ronald Goldman. And it looks like Ronald Goldman's father is seeking nearly $100 million that he won in a civil lawsuit against O.J. Simpson. Welcome back to the Kempire Daily YouTube channel, your #1 source for pop culture news and music, entertainment, reality TV, and so much more. As always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. So we were just talking about Jussie Smollett and his recent interview with Sway, where he said, "if" a lot of you in the comments were saying, remember the book that OJ did talking about if I did it? And then all of a sudden, O.J. Simpson is back in the news. So new court documents have been obtained by TMZ where Ronald Goldman's father, Fred Goldman, is seeking the money that he's owed from the civil lawsuit that he had against O.J. Simpson. What we found out in this report is that O.J. Simpson has been paying the families from this lawsuit. However, there's still a lot that has not been paid. So according to our friends over at Complex, they're reporting, they said nearly 5 years after O.J. Simpson's release from prison, he's being sued over the 1995 death of his ex-wife, Nicole Brown, and her friend, Ronald Goldman. So TMZ obtained the court documents, and they're reporting that Goldman's father, Fred, is applying for a renewal of his old judgment against Simpson, claiming that the former NFL star owes him $96 million over the murder of his son. The news arrives 25 years Simpson ordered to pay $33.5 million to the Goldman family after he was found liable in the 1994 killing of Ronald Goldman. So in 2015, Fred Goldman said with interest, OJ owed $57 million. But in these new court documents, Fred now says the interest has continued to pile up over the last 7 years and has now reached $97 million. So back in 2017, Fred Goldman filed court documents that would allocate money Simpson made from anything ranging from interviews to show appearances and presentations to help pay for the $70 million wrongful death lawsuit he owes them. Ronald Goldman and Nicole Brown were murdered at her home back in Brentwood, California on June 12, 1994. It's almost 30 years. So Simpson was acquitted of their killing, as you may recall, in the criminal case in 95, before he was found liable, though, for their deaths in 1997 in a civil lawsuit. We learned a lot during this time because we were like, wait, you can sue someone after you were cleared? But we haven't heard a lot about this since then. I think we all kind of thought, yeah, he's not paying. But apparently he has been paying over the years. So they said O.J. Simpson subsequently served 9 years at the Lovelock Correctional Center in Nevada after being found guilty on kidnapping and robbery charges stemming from an incident at a Las Vegas hotel in September of 2007 involving memorabilia. You may recall that's why he was in prison for so long. And a lot of you said that was his karma for getting off on this murder, allegedly. But apparently OJ has been paying the families over the last few years, but those payments have come and gone and they're still mounting when it comes to interest. So according to TMZ, as you recall, Fred Goldman said that OJ had only made a handful of relatively small payments over the years and had previously argued that following Simpson's 2018 release from prison, he resumed making money and should be continuing to make payments to the Goldman family. So thankfully, TMZ linked us to another report that they did last February, in regards to the amount of money that O.J. Simpson has paid the Goldman family in regards to this civil lawsuit. So they report this back in February saying that O.J. Simpson is still deep in the hole to the Goldman family, only paying $132,849.53, despite reportedly owing more than $70 million. It's all according to new court documents filed by Fred Goldman during that time in Nevada in hopes of collecting the ex-NFL in the state where Simpson now lives. So as I said to you before, after O.J. Simpson was released from prison for that whole memorabilia incident that happened in that Las Vegas hotel, he has since been making money. So according to these documents from last year, they said that Simpson spent several years in prison for a 2007 armed robbery, but in 2018, after he was released, Fred Goldman claimed OJ had resumed making money from signing autographs for collectors, and he wasn't handing over the proceeds to satisfy the judgment. I'm sure the money that he was signing over for these autographs is not a lot of money, to be honest. So in these court documents that Fred Goldman filed last year in Nevada, he said he wanted to keep the heat on Simpson, who regularly flaunts his carefree life on social media, which shows him bouncing from golf course to golf course in the Las Vegas area, instead of hunting for the, quote, real killer.
Hey, Twitter world, is me, yours truly. Now, golf. When this live group first started and these guys started jumping, I didn't like it. I didn't like Phil Mickelson's original comments on it. But I understood why so many people were upset, especially the families of the 9/11 victims, since so many Saudis were involved in that. But when Koepka, my former favorite player in the PGA the last few years, well, back in Las Vegas, it's the NFL draft. And tomorrow I'll talk a little bit about my experience in the NFL draft. It was a little different then, but, leading up to it, George Allen, the great coach, was the Rams coach. They played in the Coliseum just like USC, and he had promised me that I was going to end up a Ram, and I was, all excited. But by draft day, I knew otherwise. But we'll talk about that tomorrow. Today, they're talking about the draft, and they keep talking about who's going to trade up, and they keep talking about trading Deebo Samuel. Stop it.
So based off of what we're hearing, so he's only paid not even $1 million in regards to this. I don't know. What is OJ worth at this point? Hold on. We're going to Google schmoogle together. So according to CelebrityNetWorth.com, and look, this is just only giving us an idea. Celebrity Net Worth is not my go-to, but just to give me an idea of where OJ Simpson might be at when it comes to his money, that's when I go to Celebrity Net Worth. However, a lot of the times it really doesn't give you an accurate depiction of what celebrities are really made of. If anything, it does give you an accurate picture of the people that aren't really worth that much, to be honest. But according to this, and we have to also keep in mind, we don't know assets in regards to what OJ Simpson may have that might be worth more. Okay, according to Celebrity Net Worth, though, OJ Simpson is worth $3 million. So they say OJ Simpson is an American football player, sports commentator, and actor who has a net worth of $3 million. He was also convicted of, thanks to a robbery and kidnapping incident that took place in Las Vegas in 2007. He was also found financially responsible for the murder of Ronald Goldman. And in 1995, Simpson was found criminally not guilty for the murder of Ronald Goldman and his ex-wife. He was not sued civilly for Nicole's death. As a result, the Ronald Goldman civil case, OJ was ordered to pay the Goldman family $33.5 million, which we just talked about, in damages. The number has grown to over $40 million today, with interest. Roughly $500,000 was paid down through the sale of various assets and memorabilia. So this is why I love when we start Googling and schmoogling, because there's some information that these articles will give you, but then when you look at it, so he paid them over $100 and something thousand, but according to Celebrity Net Worth, roughly $500,000 was paid down through the sale of various assets and memorabilia. So they have received at least close to over $600,000. So they say, according to today, OJ Simpson's primary sources of income is a fully funded NFL pension that reportedly is worth as much as $5 million. State law protects his pension money from being claimed by the Goldman family. Oh, I love when we start Googling and schmoogling. So Celebrity Net Worth continues in regards to OJ Simpson's wealth history. And this is important because it kind of gives you an idea of where he was at the time before this crime and before all of this stuff happened in his life. So they said, according to legal filings submitted in 1992, divorce from Nicole Brown, OJ at that point had a net worth of $10.8 million. That's the same amount as $18 million today. Around half of his net worth came from the value of his Brentwood estate. He bought the estate in 1997 for $650,000, roughly $2.5 million in 2016. Furthermore, the same filings show that OJ's monthly income in 1992 was $55,000. That's the equivalent of $92,000 per month after adjusting for inflation, roughly $1.1 million per year today. The majority of that income came from his Hearst endorsement contract. To settle the divorce, OJ agreed to pay Nicole $10,000 per month in child support, plus a one-time payment of $433,000, $730,000 after adjusting for inflation. Okay. OJ also gave Nicole a rental property in San Francisco. OJ continued to live in his Brentwood mansion until he was evicted in 1997 after defaulting on the mortgage. The 6,200 square foot house was bought in foreclosure for $4 million and demolished in 1998. What in the 1990s are we doing with this? It's Flashback Friday. Guys, as always, I want to know your thoughts on this. Do you think that the Goldman family should let this go at this point, or should they continue pushing for this money? At this point, I don't think OJ's 70-something years old. He's not going to make the money that he would have made maybe before all of this drama. He's not going to, and they can't even touch his NFL pension. I'm sorry for the family. I don't know how this can even help them at this point, because we already know money is not going to bring your child back. I know for them, the civil lawsuit was more than that. It was more about investigating on what really happened that day and also getting justice for their son. But at this point, I feel as if you're living you're sort of stuck. This is the same way I felt about the whole Johnny Depp and Amber Heard situation. I felt like that lawsuit kept them stuck in that relationship. I feel like now that family, the Goldman family, are stuck in this situation of mourning their son, but also you haven't gotten the justice in regards to who did it. We won't talk about who I think did it. You can read my face. Guys, let's continue this conversation below. As always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. Thanks for watching.